Hi, I'm Nana Gishaga and I'm CEO of KICC. Today is KICC's birthday, so let's see what the friends of KICC have to say.
My name is David Mutiso. I'm an architect. I qualified as an architect in 1959.
My name is Margaret Kobia. I'm the Cabinet Secretary, Ministry of Public Service, Youth and Gender Affairs.
James Masharia, Cabinet Secretary for Transport, Infrastructure, Housing and Urban Development.
I'm Raphael Tuju. I'm the Secretary General of the Jubilee Party.
I'm Joe Musheru. I'm the Cabinet Secretary in charge of ICT, that's Information, Communications and Technology.
You know, the KICC has a long history. I remember being approached by Tom Boyer. I think it was after KANU meeting, and they wanted to have a headquarters for KANU. And the brief was they have about 50 people. And then I got a team together. And there was an Norwegian architect working in the Ministry of Works, and he was the project architect, and I worked with him. Northwick, Carl Northwick. So we started working, but we hadn't been working for a long time. I found myself in a State House because I went to attend a call from His Excellency the President, Jomo Kenyatta. It was nothing to do with the building. It was another matter. And when we finished, I told him what we are doing, and I told him that boy I had approached. And he said, from now on, it is me who is going to tell you. So we agreed that every Monday, I'll go with Carl Northwick to Gatundu and show him what we had done during the week. And that process went for a long time. Basically, it was a KANU building, but KANU was in Mofas. As you know, they were a private entity, but I was in government. So I told Boyer that we can't do it. You have to pay fees. So we continued. We developed, I think, slowly. Really, KANU could be just contained in the roundabout building, and the rest was offices. But nobody knew what was going to happen with those offices. And in any case, when it came to funding, KANU couldn't find the money. And some bureaucrats in government, Treasury and us in Public Works, agreed it should be funded by government, and government should build it. And from there on, it became a government offices and conference room in the central area. And we continued with that. We continued with that until about 1970 or something, when Kibaki invited the World Bank to hold their annual general meetings in Nairobi. And where would they hold it? I sent drawings and whatever it is, and there were no computers then. I think was some other way of communicating. Anyway, they eventually accepted. When they accepted, and their team came here, they came, where is the thing? He said, well, they needed a preliminary hall. Now, we didn't have a preliminary hall. So after discussion with that team from World Bank, the concept of a preliminary hall between Jogoo House and this building came into being. And that we worked on that, and eventually now the building, the initial, at least the tower, was inspired by a donkey's penis. You seen a penis of a donkey? When it is up, it is top is big, isn't it? You know, the same with the inverted. It developed as we went up. When we raised the building up to our top, we said, how are we going to finish it? And then, I mean, you don't, in many of these projects, you don't really have, you are not finished with like this bit. No, it's something that you are evolving as you are doing.
I'm very lucky because I do have a memory of when Mzee Jomo Kenyatta was opening that building.
Okay.
And it was a big event because it was the tallest building in Nairobi at that time. And it was quite a memorable event. It was probably the biggest achievement of Mzee Kenyatta's government. By the time it was being opened, it was the biggest achievement in terms of landmarks.
Yes.
And since that time, it remains a very important landmark on the Nairobi skyline. But it's also important to remember that it is one of the top 100 architectural, what I would say is one of the top 100 architectural masterpieces in the whole world. That's quite something, that at least there's one building in Kenya which is an architectural masterpiece recognized all over the world. And anytime you show the KICC, everybody knows that you're talking about Nairobi.
Yes.
It was really an architectural masterpiece because it gets its inspiration from the African hut, and there's hardly anything of that type anywhere in the world and anywhere in Africa for that matter. So it is a building that we are very proud of.
Many things come to my mind when I hear KICC, but one special one is a confirmation that Nairobi is a hub, because it's like all roads lead to one's KICC when you have these major conferences.
Yes.
And so this hub, not just for Nairobi but also for Kenya as a country, is basically reinforced by the presence of KICC.
Originally, KICC was a political headquarters for a single-party state. I think it has really, really transformed. Before it, you've got the county government, you've got the National Assembly of Parliament on one side, you've got the High Court, you've got Office of the President. So you have almost, the power of the country goes around KICC. It has really transformed from just being a political center now to a business and convention center where you go and you can have all these business activities and conventions, but as well as entertainment. I've enjoyed going there for whether it's music, where there's some great shows, or even comedies, which have been great. Some have gone maybe to almost 3 a.m., a bit longer, but all fun and all great. And I love the transformation because it continues to be iconic. It continues to give us the pride that our history continues as we even develop and bring more technology.
I think it's very important for people to understand the significance of KICC. It's beyond anything that a party can do. It's beyond anything that even a ministry could do, in the sense that the tourism of this country is anchored on various pillars. There's the coastal pillar, where we have the beaches and so forth. Then we have the safari pillar with the national parks. And the conference pillar, which is a very, very significant aspect of tourism all over the world, is anchored at KICC. One single institution. If you talk about beaches, you can talk about several hotels all the way from Lamu down to the south coast, and many, many institutions are major players in the beach tourism. When talking about the bush tourism, then there are many, many institutions which are involved. I mean, if there's a problem in the Mara, people can go to the Savo. If there's a problem in the Savo, people can go to Mount Kenya, or the Bedeas, or Lake Nakuru, and so forth. But when it comes to conference tourism, just one institution is a very important pillar and the center for that, and that is the KICC. And I think it's very, very important that Kenyans understand that important aspect of the KICC.
As you know, many years ago, 45 years ago, it sounds a long, long time ago. By then I was just 13 years, but I still remember this very iconic, facility coming up in the skyline of Nairobi. The iconic shape of the facility, the fact it was round, it was very tall, and having this heart-like, sort of facility, it basically gave Nairobi a new sort of image, which is very historic. And so even at that age, 13 years, I still remember, because we used to see KICC from very far. We used to know there was this rotating restaurant at the top, and it was anybody's dream, especially when I got to university 5 years later, to basically go to the top of KICC and enjoy the scenery. You could see every part of this country, to the north, to the east, to the west, to the south, from the rooftop of KICC. So it gave us a lot of pride, because this was the first facility of its nature in Eastern Africa. And the fact that it was held right in the center of Nairobi, it gave Kenyans that sense of pride, that indeed we were very unique for what KICC had brought to us. Each time I traveled in the region, people say Kenyatta International Conference Center. And even people in the region, their dream was to come here. And so it did attract a lot of business in terms of tourism, in terms of conferencing. And so, yes, it has had a historic mark.
Of course, we were all told that this was the tallest building in Kenya and was one of the tallest in Africa. And growing up, one of the best outing you could have was to go to the Uhuru Park and have a picture which showed you holding the top of KICC. So it's been part of our life growing up and being in Nairobi. You are not in Nairobi if you have not interacted with KICC in one way or another.
I would say the first memory is just traveling to see this very tall building, and you look up and you think you're going to fall. I think I went there with my dad, and it was very nice. And yes, I took one of those photos where, yeah. So I think that's one of the fondest memories, but also the fireworks and just seeing how Nairobi comes to life when you actually now have these celebrations, celebrating life, and you've got a great display. I think that's a great time to be at KICC.
Happy to make a few comments regarding KICC, and I get to know that KICC, Kenyatta International Convention Center, is getting 45 years old. Happy birthday, KICC. We are proud to be associated with you. Every time we come to KICC, we are amazed by the facilities that are around there, and we will continue using them, and the best wishes as you grow beyond 45 years old.
Thank you very much.
Yes, and I hope we continue.
I can only say happy birthday to the most iconic building in Kenya, and in many ways, the most iconic building in Africa. There are very, very few buildings in Africa which are recognized as architectural masterpieces. I don't know of any other. I only know of KICC, but there may be a few others in Africa. But you know, the iconic buildings of the of the world. KICC is one of them. You can think of the one in Sydney, and a few other countries. And the fact that this has remained so for the last 45 years is fairly significant in terms of the thought which went into it, and the fact that it still dominates the Nairobi skyline in many ways. I think that we can only pay tribute to the fact that this building was put up at the time that it was put up, because nothing has come close to it.
Guess who? I am Nana, CEO of KICC, and we are celebrating KICC 45 years. KICC, happy birthday, and may you stand strong for another 45 years.